Hello, hello, hello. Evening, everyone. I had a change of plans. I actually was going into this week topic bullying. However, some of the feedback that I received from doing peer pressure last week allowed me to think about the need to go back into peer pressure. For one, is because the way I tapped into peer pressure, we all understand, and I hope everybody, was able to grab from that session, the two forms of peer pressure, positive and negative. However, what I wanted to speak on this evening is how peer pressure affects our youth. You know, I like a lot of people, always tell me, like I expressed with a lot of you, in week one, the introduction from prison to purpose. And that was how I was affected by peer pressure when I had the incident on the elevator. And after that, how I had people in both ears, what to do, what not to do. However, my spent in or spill in prison, allowed me to experience a lot of different areas that people were affected by peer pressure. And I say that because, just like out here, this day and time, you have a lot of young people, some old as well, that get affiliated with crews and gangs. And a lot of it stem from different forms of peer pressure. A lot of times when we get involved in these crews and these gangs, it's because we're looking for extended family or family, period. Some people come from, like myself, I had both parents, but I didn't have both parents in the same household. My mother and father divorced when I was in the third grade, so I was in a single parent home. But however, my mother worked all the time, so I was between my mother's and my grandmother's. So I was in one of those situations, so to speak, where it wasn't a man figure that was around to school me. I didn't have a big brother. I had two younger sisters. And at that time, when I first, got introduced to the street, so to speak, I had one sister, and I was, she was fortunate because I was her brother. I didn't have that. So I learned a lot of things from peers in the street, some younger, some older, some same age, but we tend to want to be accepted, so to speak. And we tend to do things to, whether it be a class clown, to get attention, is what we do. And some people are clowns naturally, some people do stuff to get attention because they want to be feared, or they get attention because a lot of different reasons. Some people, like when I was growing up, everything was based on certain reputations. We had this individual that was a good dresser. We had this individual that was known because he can fight. We had this individual that was known because he can flip. We had known, I mean, everybody was known for something and everybody wanted to be known for something. And it was these peers that was setting these standards, and they weren't good standards, because most of the time they were bad standards, because who want to be known as the best fighter in the neighborhood unless you going in the ring and you getting paid for that? Or who want to be known as the best dresser when in order to get these clothes, you got to go in the store and steal them, because we all come from the same walk, so nobody had the money to buy these name brand things. And we become victims of this circumstance, this society that we live in. Because when you come from the projects, when you come from these little developments where it's a bunch of townhomes, it's like projects, because that's what we call them in Newark, New Jersey. And it's like a world within a world, because a lot of people don't even go outside of these walls or these fences, whatever's surrounding them. So you get caught up in a lot of forms of peer pressure, and back then when I was growing up, it wasn't more so, it wasn't gangs, it was crews, but a crew is a gang, and you got accepted because, or you wanted to be accepted because you didn't have a big brother, or you didn't have a father in the house, to teach you right from wrong, or to teach you, if you was a boy, to teach you about the do's and the don'ts, or about girls, or if you was a young lady or a girl, you didn't have a big sister, or that mother that was actually teaching you or grooming you, to be ladylike, so to speak. And to me, that's the problem with a lot of things that's taking place today in society. For starters, we have kids having kids. And where does that come from? If you watch some of these videos that these rappers and stuff are putting out here, none of it is like the music when we was growing up. Music tells stories. A lot of us can go to different places if and when we listen to music, whether you drive, and some of us, old heads, so to speak, we like to travel excuse me, what we like to call traveling music, so to speak, and that's when, whether you on the highway, or wherever you may be, highway or intersection, wherever state you from, this is what it's called. Excuse me once again, we are people that tend to listen to, whether it be jazz, whether it be R&B, what have you. This takes us to a certain place where we are mentally, what's the word I'm looking for? Solitude, peace of mind, relaxed, and even though you're driving, it takes you there. But if you go back and listen to some of these videos and the music that these kids listen to today, it takes them to a place where they want to do acts of violence. They want to rob, they want to steal, they want to be amongst their peers. Whether it's, I see people, on these videos and stuff, and they in the middle of the street, smoking whatever you want to call it that they smoke, shooting guns and all this sort of stuff. And to me, it's a bunch of foolishness, because what happens, it takes you two places. It can take you to the graveyard, or it can take you to prison. Now, I've been in prison where I've taught these classes, the same topics that we're dealing with right now: peer pressure, conflict resolution, a lot of topics that I'm gonna be tapping into. And what I've seen and learned over the years is these kids get so caught up in trying to fit in or trying to be down, that they lose sense of really who they are or who they could have become. One, I'm gonna give you a prime example of one young man that I met was actually from California, and it was a chain, because like he explained to me, his father was in the gang, his grandfather was in the gang, his great grandfather was in the gang. So that's where a lot of that stuff came from, especially California. They've been doing that since, to me, the beginning of time. But the chain has to break somewhere, so some kind of way we have to have some body of people to go out and show the difference in peer pressure, positive and good. Oh, you don't have to go that way. You know why? A friend of mine, what he did is, when he joined this program when he was feeling a certain kind of way, and this program allowed him to express or to learn his true value, his true worth, and was able to, once he got to that point, he was able to channel some of the things that was bottled up in him, and he learned that he was an artist, or he learned that he could rap, or he learned that he could sing, or he learned that whatever his gift or his talent was, he learned that by going over here. The other people went left. So by them going left, they joined whatever gang they may join, Blood, Crip, GD, whatever gang they joined. And like the young man that I was actually mentoring, he was a Blood. Now, when he was with me, he, at that time, I think he was only incarcerated maybe 9 months, something to that effect. He was on his way, just starting a 12-year bid. and hadn't heard from anybody that was affiliated with his clique when he was out there in the world. And I asked him, I said, "You've been down 9 months, who's supporting you?" And he said, he has no one, besides his grandmother, and his grandmother was up in age. I said, "Well, what about, your brothers and sisters that was in the gang with you?" And he put his head down. He hadn't heard from nobody. Then, when he put his head down, I felt it was a little more. So I started to, digging in a little deeper. Come to find out, one of his brothers, was actually dating his girlfriend. He said that it was like 3 months later. I said, "You mean to tell me you was only incarcerated for 3 months and then she was gone?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "That's a saying of us, the OGs, so to speak. When you meet some of these ladies, you know, and I say ladies, and that's putting a lot on it. In the street, they are a product of us. And I say us because I was like him when I was out there and I was dealing drugs and so on and so forth. You meet these females that chase drug dealers. Now, what happens is it's two roads that have the two different endings. It's almost like you go down this street and it got a sign, no outlet. You go down this street and it has a sign, no outlet. Well, at the end of the street, one has a graveyard and the other one has a prison. And that is where that lifestyle takes us to. There's no such thing as a successful drug dealer. I have never met one. All the ones I met, they either got killed, or they killed someone, or they end up in prison. So both, if you kill someone, you're going to prison. If you continue to sell drugs, you're going to prison. So it's a lose-lose situation when you're in that lifestyle. But back to the young man I was mentoring, when he said that he lost her, his brother was dating her. Then come to find out, while we were still in this institution, his brother got locked up. And guess what? She moved on to the next one. And that's the cycle. It's on to the next one. And I'm not just saying that where I'm putting bad taste or bad bone on females, cause the guys that's in that lifestyle are just as guilty. But what we are a product of this peer pressure, because just like I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you and I'm giving you all these definitions of negative, because I haven't went to positive yet, negative peer pressure. That's what's leading these young men into all of these gangs and doing all of these acts of violence that's meaningless. And when you get there, like me that's in prison or staff that work in prison, and you see the gifts, the talent, the most talented people in the world are incarcerated. Now, if you that's watching this video, if we can find a way to tackle, some of these people before they land up in prison. I mean, I say tackle because right now we playing football. We living in a time that's is dire, and we need to tackle them and show them, another way. This is positive peer pressure. These people are talented. I've met rappers, I met singers, I met artists, I met people construction workers that can build whatever. I know people that was architects, and in prison they use them to help build prisons. The same thing with the ones that's artists. They have them drawing stuff, whether it be in the mess hall, whether it be in the visiting room. So they're using their talents in prison when they could be doing it out here in the free world, getting paid for it. Helping. And if you want to do it for free, then do it for a charity where you can make a painting and they can, sell it off in an auction and donate it to some type of charity. We have so many people out here that's in different types of needs, and that's where we need to be helping the young people. And I'm talking to, the OGs, so to speak, the elders, as well as the youth. We need to find a way to channel this energy that we have and make it all positive. because we have so much energy, so much talent. Let's make a difference. Let's encourage our peer to want to do better. We can do better. We must do better. And I say this, because it's dear to my heart when it comes to this peer pressure thing. I just gave you a prime example of one individual that got caught up, but now let me give you another one, and I'm flipping, going from negative to positive. We in the workplace, and we have a co-worker. Now this just is a hypothetical. We have a co-worker that's gifted, I mean multi-talented, can do it. You show them a little bit and they go the extra mile, so now they learned a lot and they could do almost every task that job entails. Now, instead of them, and this happened when I first was released and I was working in Purdue, so many people can do multiple jobs in there, but what they refuse to do is try to get promoted to a higher position to make more money. So now I, in turn, I wanted more when I was there. So a lot of people that I was talking to on a daily basis, they took to what I was doing. I mean, I'm going home today, man. I'm going to fill out me another application. I tried to average 4 to 5 different applications a week. And what happened? One or two of them, followed my lead. Now this is good peer pressure. One of them ended up relocating, left Delaware, moved to Virginia to pursue Walmart distribution center because they had a position doing the same thing, but offered more opportunity to grow with the company. He relocated and up and left, and still thanks me today because nobody else that was there prior to me was on that type of time where they was like, man, we could do better, we could do better. If you get someone in your ear that's constantly prompting you to do better, we will do better. When we surround ourselves with positivity, we do positivity. When we surround ourselves with negativity, what happens? We do wrong. And I'm guilty of this. Like I said in my introduction, I am by far from being perfect. I strive daily. I make mistakes. And what I do, I repent. I go before my Lord and I ask Him to help me in whatever area it is that I'm weak in, that I need help in, to strive. And I have positive people around me. And my wife is my biggest supporter, my biggest fan, my biggest everything. And when I feel that it's something that I'm stagnant in, here she comes. My sisters are the same way. And I have people that I'm surrounded with. This is what I try to surround myself with, all positivity. And that's what I'm throwing out there to you guys to do, is this is the company that we need to keep. So now what I want to leave you with, I'm gonna leave you with them same points that I left you with last week. And I'm doing this because I went right back into peer pressure. Now, one, always come off from a place of love. And we have to do that no matter what your religious domination is. I'm a Christian, and that's what we're taught. We're taught to love thy neighbor, treat thy neighbor like we want to be treated. So if we come off in love, what we going? We're representing love and we're presenting love. So always come off in love. Remember that. Second thing, watch what we live. Now, if we live truth, we're going to practice truth. We're going to preach truth. So watch how we live. It's almost like our tongue. We have to guard our tongue because if we speak negativity, what happens? We live negativity. So if we speak positively, what happens? We live positive. So remember that. Watch how we live. Watch what we live. And I tapped into number 3, watch what we say. Guard our tongue. Guard our tongue. A lot of people, especially kids, are listening. They watch everything we do. They listen to everything that we say. Be positive. Be positive. Speak positively And what results will come from that? Oh man, through the roof, and this is what we're looking for. We're looking to go through the roof greater. We must say greater, do greater, and be greater. I came in peace and I end in peace. Be blessed.